Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Dark Art Society podcast. My name is Chet. I'm your host, and today we have the amazing creature designer, illustrator, sculptor, David Meng. He's a super talented, great creature designer. I love his stuff, and I've been wanting to have him on the podcast for a while now, and we finally did it. So, had a great conversation with him. That's coming up next. What's been going on with me? You might be wondering. Well, not much, really. Same old. I don't have anything new to report. I cleaned my studio a little bit. That's kind of exciting for me. Starting some sculpture stuff. I'm still mainly just focusing on getting my commissions done. So nothing new to report. Getting stuff done. That's good. That's pretty much it. If you want to support the Dark Art Society podcast, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and that's at patreon.com/darkartsociety. It's greatly appreciated. It's the only reason I can do this podcast is from the little money that we get through the Patreon. So if you enjoy it, even if you can only do it for a short time or a month even, every little bit helps. So patreon.com/darkartsociety. If you join at the $5 level, you get a 20% off coupon for Skull Shoppe, our sponsor, SKULLSHOPPE. There's one of their amazing skulls. My granddaughter broke one of the teeth out here, but it doesn't matter. It still looks amazing. They're great, and they support the Dark Art Society. And if you join at any level, you get your name read on the air too. So let's do that. Let me see here. I don't know who I left off with. Heather Gillies, I think maybe. Derek Moore. I think I said these ones last time, but that's okay. Natalie, thank you. Carly Robb, thank you. And Jen Chow, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. If you want to support my work, my personal artwork, which is really my main focus in life, you can go to my Patreon, which is patreon.com/ChetZar, and I'm posting everything I work on pretty much every day. Every day I work, I post pictures, I post time lapses, I do tutorials, I do mentorships at the higher levels. I've got a collector's tier with a 20% discount off of everything I offer, and my patrons get all my releases before anybody else. And so that's why it's hard to get a study from me now, or a new sometimes a new print or new resin cast or something. That's because I release it to my patrons first. They get everything first. These are people willing to pay just a small amount of money every month. So I consider them my serious fans if you're willing to support me in that way. I've got this going right now. This Medusa commission you can see in the background. Almost done with it. And right now, Patreon has a 7-day free trial, so you can try it out, and if you don't like it, you can cancel it, so you have nothing to lose. So I would appreciate it if you could help out. That would be awesome. This is how I'm making, a good part of my living now is from my Patreon and the Dark Art Society Patreon, and I can keep doing this podcast, keep doing my art. Okay. Oh, I also have a new print I did release publicly called The Medium. You'll probably recognize it. That's on my website, chetsar.bigcartel.com. I've got 2 variants of it. And yeah, I guess that's it. I can't think of anything else. Every time I do this intro, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm forgetting, and then I forget, and then I leave something out. I guess that's it. Anyway, let's get on with this great interview. It's super, super great. David Meng's got a Patreon too. You should support, and we talk about it in the interview. Anyway, enough of me yammering. Let's get on with it. All right, here we go. My interview with David Meng. Oh, I forgot to say the date. That's one thing. 6/20/2023. That's the date. Got to try and get it in there somewhere. Okay. All right. Hello, David.
Hello, Chet.
Finally on the podcast.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me on here.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to have you on since we went to Zello or before before the pandemic for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny that we live so close.
Yeah, gosh, I think that we went to Zello maybe 10 years ago.
Was it 10 years ago?
Or maybe like 9 years ago. But it was 2014 or something.
Did we go with Luke Chu somewhere?
No, we went with I think Neil Wynn.
Maybe? Oh, we went with Neil. Oh, okay. Because I went to another place with Luke and some other people at a restaurant in Arcadia, but it wasn't Zello. It was like a dumpling place. It's really good.
Is it Ding Tai Fung?
I don't remember. All I remember had the most amazing dumplings. It was real kind of big inside, a lot of tables.
Yeah, the dumplings have like kind of like broth inside or something.
It's so good. Yeah, it's funny.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah, I went that one time and it was so good, and I was like, I got to come back here, and then I forgot everything. I forgot where it was.
It's just at the mall. It's at the mall, I think, right?
Oh, right.
Or they opened another one at the mall, I think. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a recluse. I never leave the house, so
that's a good choice.
Yeah, that's the artist life.
Yeah.
I was just watching. I took this. Alan Moore, the comic book writer?
Yeah.
I just took he has a master's class on this thing called BBC Maestro, and it's really good about writing because I'm thinking about writing a comic of my dystopia book, maybe.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'd like to anyway. So anyway, I was kind of like getting, it's all advice for writers, and he was talking about the pandemic. And how he said a couple months into it, he realized his life hadn't changed a bit. And that's like, that was a writer's life. It's like, you don't really see your friends. You have phone calls and texts once in a while, but pretty much you're alone. And like, that's how I felt through the whole thing. I was like,
No, I mean, for me, I was stuck watching my son. He was like 4 or 5 during the pandemic. So
oh yeah,
I didn't get this like wonderful time of just doing nothing but making art.
Yeah, my granddaughters would come over and visit, spend the night and stuff, and they switched to remote school, and it was like such a trip. It was just so different, So,
it's weird. It's like because you can see everything. It's like you never get to see what's happening with your kid at school, but you see everything. You're right there. It's
Anyway,
I'm so glad it's like back to normal now. So
yeah,
because it's really important.
Yeah, I know it. As much as I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it just because personally, not all the death and stuff, but
of course.
But personally, it was like I got a break from it. There wasn't so much pressure to do anything or get as much done really. But as much as I enjoyed that, I realized that most people didn't, and it was a terrible time for them. So I'm glad things are back to normal.
No, I mean I was definitely very lucky throughout it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so how are you doing? What's up today?
I'm doing good. Yeah.
What are you working on?
Well, I just started a Patreon.
Oh, cool. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Perfect. So go join David's Patreon. What's the address? It's just what, Dave?
It's patreon.com /Meng Monsters. So that's MENGMONSTERS.
Cool.
M as in Mary. So, yep.
So what kind of stuff are you doing on there?
Drawings and sculptures and mostly, creature stuff, monsters, right now I started a series of like little Bosch-like devils.
Oh, cool.
So I just started sculpting. I just put up pictures of the first one I did, and I'm working on two other ones at the moment. So yeah, it's just like what I always do anyway, except I have to like, take pictures at every stage and like
Right.
edit it and like put the watermark on it and upload it. Right now I'm trying to do like maybe at least 2 or 3 times a week, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. And yeah, it's been really good. I've been really lucky. I've had a bunch of patrons so far, and they're all like really cool artists themselves.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, so it's like it's super. I'm really happy about it so far. But
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely join up.
well, thank you.
Yeah. So, well, for people who aren't aware of your work, can you talk about your background and kind of what you do? I mean, I know you're an amazing creature designer, sculptor, and illustrator. You do it all, kind of, when it comes to creature design. You do it all equally well.
Thank you.
But explain to people, I don't know, what you do, and who you are.
Um, well, I I design and sculpt monsters. I uh, when I was a little kid, I saw Labyrinth in the movie theater, and that was kind of like the big thing that kind of got me down. Like I always like to draw, but it was that movie in particular that somehow really got to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, gosh, that was in 1986, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just I never stopped liking them. I just never like grew out of it. Just
Yeah. I know what you mean.
it's kind of funny because when I was really little, I don't think I liked monsters when I was really little. I was scared of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't go in. There's a store with these masks, and I wouldn't go in because I thought they were scary. And I remember like in kindergarten, like for Halloween, these like other little kids were Draculas, and they just had like white paint and like cloaks or capes. And like my mom like volunteered at the school at the time, and I asked her to ask them not to scare me. It's just like little kids with like white makeup, and that's it.
I was one of the kids with the white makeup.
Yeah, I imagine you were.
Yeah, I got like inoculated to it from when because my grandfather used to scare the shit out of us, like wearing Halloween masks and stuff when I was little. So I kind of like, I think that's part of what warped my brain, because he was kind of this crazy practical joker guy. But I do feel like I was attracted to the monsters as a way of like facing my fears, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of people who like monsters kind of relate in
Yeah,
in that
I've been
way,
trying to
or
figure out why I like monsters, and I just can't figure it out. I guess they just, I mean, the simplest things, I just think they look cool,
yeah. But
that's it, really.
I mean, I feel that way. See, I feel that's what when Mike Carell did that documentary about me, I was
Yeah,
like, I told him, I'm like, my life is boring. I don't know, if you want to do it, you can do it, but I don't recommend it. Basically, is what I told him, and but it's like by the end of it, I was like, wow, I've had a really interesting life. It's really unusual, but I had to think about all these things, like why
yeah,
I liked monsters and stuff, and that got me totally going down this rabbit hole of my childhood and kind of living in a broken home, and transferring, externalizing my fears on drawing them out. I mean, I got this. I went to therapy in the 90s, and one thing my therapist clued me into is maybe that I was drawing these scary things as a way of like gaining mastery over them. She called it like
yeah,
I was the one in control when I could draw the monsters, and they weren't
yeah,
scaring me. I was maybe scaring other people, or I was like I was bigger than the monster, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I feel from Guillermo's also made the point. Guillermo del Toro has also made the point that like they represent. I think it was him. They can represent like the outsider,
hmm,
so we sort of relate to them, or the underdog, and it seems like to me, it seems like people are either drawn to the monsters because of like mastering their fear or overcoming fears, or because they relate to the outsider status of the monster in some way, or being shy. Because I was also really shy,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
felt like an outsider because of that.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. No, definitely. Actually thinking about it now, I think what I like about monsters is that they're kind of they're like your id, like they're cool,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a swagger, and I don't, and
Right.
they kind of, I like monsters because I can make them, and they can be cool where I can't be cool or
Right.
have swagger. They can have all of that, and I can make them have that, and that's kind of why I like them too.
Yeah, you have their confidence and their swagger through them, like
Yeah,
vicariously
yeah.
through them.
Yeah, it's like I'm not Keith Richards, but they can be,
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of why I like them.
Yeah, that's great. So, also one other thing that came out during the documentary, my mom, it's in the very beginning of the documentary. My mom was telling a story about how I was afraid of spiders. And so
Hmm.
she took me to the library and showed me a book on spiders, and kind of explained what spiders were, what they did. And
Hmm.
once and she said once we went through it, I wasn't afraid of them anymore. So that, I think, set
Yeah.
up like a pattern. Like if you're afraid of something, you, instead of recoiling, you go into it and try and understand it,
Right, right.
and I think somehow that related to the monster thing too. But
I guess that's a good argument for me to read up on AI art or something. That's what I'm scared of now.
oh man, you don't have to be afraid of AI art. I don't think. Well, let's see. You do. Where do you make most of your living from doing concept art for movies and stuff?
I guess that's most of what I've been doing. I mean, I did Monster Palooza for the first time just a couple weeks ago,
So you're
and
starting to branch out as a
yeah,
fine artist. That's good.
yeah, and that's kind of why I started the Patreon too. I'm not because of AI art necessarily, but it's just because I always am making my own stuff anyway, and I thought, well, this is a good idea. It's just like,
Right, right.
yeah, it just, I kind of would like to justify making these things in a monetary way.
Yeah. Well, you have to living in this country or in this
Yeah,
world,
yeah,
really. Um, yeah, I do think AI probably will affect designers, illustrators, and stuff, but
yeah, I think it's unavoidable.
it's already happening on a lower level. Like I see AI art right now. It's just very low level, like really crappy little thumbnails for news stories. I see AI art,
Yeah,
and what I just saw an advertisement
yeah.
on Facebook for a shirt, for a dress
Hmm.
shirt, and it had these like muscle guys, and everyone but the thing is, everyone in the comments was totally dunking on it, like saying, "Oh my god, it's so AI art." But it's like, that was either a photographer's job that got lost or
Yeah,
an
yeah,
artist
absolutely.
job. So it's like it is going to happen, but that's why I've been encouraging people that do concept work and illustration to just like at least get a side hustle going for your own art,
Yeah,
because that's the one thing that AI won't, I don't think will ever touch, is fine artists, because people buy
yeah,
fine art from specific artists because they love the artist and their art, and they want to support them, and they want an original one of a kind piece that was
yeah.
kind of handmade by the artist. And that's just like, AI cannot do that. It's just not the same, I think.
I guess one of my fears is if this, because like a lot of kids I'm hearing like are thinking, oh, should I even go into art or study it? Because there's like not really a future doing it commercially or whatever. And I'm worried that like if enough people feel that way, will the industries that make our materials start to go away too?
Oh
Like
yeah.
the people who make our paints and our clay and stuff.
Right.
Like I just hope that. I mean, I also thought what's equally important. It's not just art isn't just important as like something to be consumed, but it's important for people to make it too.
Yeah, right.
Um, it's just like people who play instruments. It's not just about the person listening to the music. It's like the person playing it. That's a like incredibly great value as well. Just to
Yeah.
be able to express yourself in that way.
Yep.
I think people are always going to have to do that, and art is the same way. Visual art. Um,
Definitely. I agree.
so I hope that just enough of that feeling stays where, at least, well, because there's like a Michael store in every city, and
Right.
it's because people like to make stuff, even if they're not necessarily artists, they still just like making stuff. There's
Right.
just interest to do that. So I'm hoping enough of that survives to where we at least have, can buy paints and stuff
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. I think there's enough. I think there's enough. A lot of the plastics and rubbers and silicones, that's like industrial. They're doing like that serves industry as well. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff's going to
And
go
we
away.
just have we kind of benefit like off to the side from that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because if it were just us, they wouldn't be doing
Yeah.
any of that.
Yeah, I remember in the 80s it was like that. It was like hard to find all these materials. There was maybe
Yeah.
one place you could go to in
Oh my
Hollywood
God.
or North Hollywood or Van Nuys or one or two
Oh, really?
places.
Like even here, even in California, or
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was like
wow.
there was Davis Dental. They were a dental house, like a
Hmm.
dental supply house, but they also
I've heard
sold
of them.
they sold alginate and dental specific materials that we used. And
Yeah.
then Berman, I think Berman Industries
Yeah.
sold stuff. I think those were the two main ones. There may have been one other, but it was like there's all kinds of places you could buy that stuff now too, and it's all online and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Just like half a dozen I can think of just right off the top
mhm.
of my head, and it's really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of
I'm so glad I
amazing.
live like locally to all this stuff too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I grew up in Michigan, and we had a place called Monster Makers in Ohio, and I could get my order within a day, so that was good.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Where in Michigan are you from?
It's a place called Sterling Heights, and when I tell people it's close to Detroit, they think, "Oh my God, you grew up in RoboCop?" It's like, you know, but it's not. It's just like a totally like boring, like milk toast kind of suburb.
Right.
Um, and yeah, we're really close to the Windsor Tunnel to Ontario.
I'm gonna ask my wife because she's from Pontiac, Michigan.
Oh,
She grew up in the RoboCop. She's like Pontiac is pretty rough from what she told me. But yeah, every time I meet someone from Michigan, I always ask her. That's why I wrote it down. I always ask her, "Do you know about Sterling Heights?" And she'll usually say. Um, so when did you? So were you like, well, okay, first off, were you like an art kid all the time, drawing and
yeah, I think
you
I
must
was
have
like,
been. You must have been. You're way too good to not have been an
oh,
art
oh,
kid.
no, thank you. I think it's like, we for a while, I don't know if we have it anymore. There was like an elephant I drew when I was 3.5, I guess, and it was like surprisingly good.
Uh,
And
it's like my turtle.
I
I drew
think,
a turtle at age 3.
oh
It's
yeah,
pretty good. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's and yeah, so uh, um, yeah, so I was always, I mean, that was my thing I could do. I couldn't do anything else. Like I was terrible at sports. I didn't have anything in common. I did not like to talk to people. Um, so I guess I really liked animals, I guess, and
Mm,
dinosaurs and stuff like that. So and prehistoric creatures like mammoths and so yeah. And I guess like even though I was like I got like picked on a lot, I never I don't think I ever really got like physically beaten up.
hmm.
And I think it's because I was good at drawing,
Yeah,
It
right.
saved my life. uh,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how kind of it was for me too. I don't know. It's like it becomes your identity. Like
Yeah.
you're the art kid, or you're the one that could draw. You and maybe
Yeah, totally.
one or two other guys, maybe in school or something.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it
It's
seems to
surprising
get.
how rare it is, that
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It is weird. It's because I mean I remember when art was one of the thing that was part of a well-rounded education.
Hmm.
Art classes, and it was kind of taken like you needed to know this art and music, and
Yeah.
it just like slowly was throughout growing up. It just kept getting less and less important in school. It seemed
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
crazy. But so okay. Was there a point that you wanted to get into the movies and stuff, or
Yeah, I think it was just that summer when I first saw the movie Labyrinth, and I don't know what it was about it. I mean, I think if I saw it any earlier or any later, maybe it wouldn't have had the effect it had.
Mm-hmm.
I was just because like in the 80s, like 85, 86, that's when they had all these like, I think kids everywhere in America loved monsters, but they had those like the Mad Balls and
Mm-hmm.
those like the Muscle Men, those like super sculpty colored like little figure. They're like these tiny little figures, and they're like monsters.
Yeah,
Um,
there was like a resurgence in the 80s because like in the 60s it was I got some from my brother because I was born in 67, so I didn't really remember the 60s, but my brother's a few years older than me and he had a bunch of monster toys in this from the 60s. So
mhm.
I kind of got his hand-me-downs and
Yeah.
there was a huge monster kid thing in the 60s like dinosaur model kits
That's
and
interesting. Did it happen in the 70s at all?
it it was in the 70s. I think it was like kind of tapering down and then it sort of came back up in the 80s because I remember
Okay.
in the 70s they had the head shrinker, the apple head shrinker. It was like
Okay.
Vincent Price was on the commercial for that, and they had Hugo, the Man of a Thousand Faces, which was like a little puppet, and you put like disguises on the little puppet head
Okay.
and scars and stuff, and the Dick Smith makeup kit. That stuff was all 70s. So yeah, I mean, it was. I guess it was, it's just like it was big in the 60s and it was still happening in the 70s, kind of tapered down towards the late 70s. And then I think in the 80s with the Mad Balls. And I got this
Yeah.
one thing called Rude Ralph. I got one on eBay.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
Where
Yeah,
you pull the
like his
eyeball
eye
out
popped out.
and then it makes,
Was it just a head? Is that what it
yeah,
was?
yeah. It makes
Yeah,
gross
okay, and it had
sounds
like
as
red hair or something.
yeah, it's got like
Yeah,
orange
yeah.
hair. You pull the eyeball out, and when it sucks back in, it goes. It makes like or puking sounds and stuff. It's pretty great.
Yeah, there's so many of the because I guess because in the early 80s you had Ghostbusters, Gremlins, Dark Crystal, like Star Wars, obviously, and all
Yeah.
that stuff all at once. And then kids got super into monsters again.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I had this thing, My Pet Monster. I don't know if you remember what
Oh
that
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I know a
and
lot of people, a lot of artist friends of mine talk about their My Pet Monster.
There was a movie. Did you know?
Really? No, I didn't know.
So I think it was like straight to video or something, but I
Wow,
watched it.
I believe it.
Um, uh, and then a little later on, like I had one of those Boglins,
Mm-hmm.
like those
Boglins,
little,
yeah.
yeah. I found out later on that the guy who created them sculpted the Mystics and the Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I heard it was a
Tim
makeup
Clark,
effect.
yeah,
What's his name?
Tim Clark,
Yeah, I heard it was an effects guy that kind of did
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
funny.
was so happy when I found that out. It's like, oh, everything I like is like connected,
Yeah. So how did you get into the industry? Or what did you do for your first work or did you go to college or any of that
Oh,
stuff?
well, I went to. I was lucky because my parents gave me no choice but to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky that it wasn't a choice, and there was a good not having a choice.
Right.
But they wouldn't let me go to like an art college. They said you can study art, but you have to do that at a regular university. So I went
Mm-hmm.
to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor,
Okay.
and it was good because it gave me 4 years to just. I mean, the classes didn't have a. I had a figure sculpting class that was really good,
Mm-hmm.
and the professor was really great, and um, but mostly it just gave me time to just get better at art, just get better at drawing and sculpting and stuff,
Right.
and get a lot of life drawing in, and
Yeah.
that, and then after that, I went to this. They always had those ads for like the Art Institute of Pittsburgh and like
Mm-hmm.
Cineplex and stuff. So I went there for like a little bit,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. I
There
know
was
a
a
lot
really
of people
great,
who went there.
yeah, a lot more than than you'd think. And like there was a really great teacher there named Doug Henderson who, mainly I learned like he made immaculate molds and immaculate sculptures, and every bit of his craftsmanship was like perfect. So
This school
that's
was just to let people know. This school was like focused. It was like the only one of the few schools that focused on makeup effects and mask making
yeah,
and stuff. Right? It was like a program they had.
yeah, it was. It was like they like the thing is, it was advertised with this like space zombie thing, and then you go there, they say, no, it's a design school.
Uh,
So, but what's with this the zombie? But but they had this program that was like heavy. It was like pretty well known. I think it was maybe one of the only ones at the
right.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I went there a couple of months, but I knew I didn't need to get like a degree or anything from them.
Right.
So after a while, after that, I took the Dick Smith course.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I started corresponding with him, and that like also changed my life. Like that really helped me
Yeah.
because the main thing was I called Dick Smith Dick all the time.
Oh, really?
I'd send him pictures of stuff makeups that I was working on, and
Did he write back and tell you everything that was wrong with them?
yeah, or he would talk on the phone,
Oh,
and
right. Yeah.
eventually I went to the 2002 makeup arts trade show, and I met him out here, and he wrote me a recommendation letter, and he also took me to meet Dick Smith and Rick Baker on the same day. Like
Dick, who took you there? He
Dick
took you to
Smith,
meet Rick and who?
Stan Winston.
Oh, Stan Winston. You said Dick
Yeah.
Smith.
Did I? I might have gotten mixed up.
Stan, yeah. So Dick took you to meet Stan Winston and Rick on the same day.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we also met Andrew Clement too.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah. It was an amazing day, and
Yeah, it must have been exciting.
yeah, no, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then I moved down here, and I spent a year and a half out here. My first job was with Greg Canham's shop.
Oh, okay. What stuff did you do there? What did you work on there?
The Passion of the Christ was the first thing I did.
Really?
I mean, it was just little things. Like I had to sculpt a bite mark.
Right.
And I think I had to cast up the nails for Jesus's hands.
Okay.
And then what was more fun is I also got to work on that movie, Van Helsing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did some zombie masks, I think, that didn't end up in it. Yeah, so, and then I worked for the character shop with Rick Lazzarini.
Oh, okay.
And it was probably like my first job where I got to design things, and that was real cool.
Rick's cool.
And yeah, and I was here for like a year and a half, and then I went to Comic-Con, and I met Richard Taylor from WETA Workshop over there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I showed him my portfolio, and then like 6 months later, he called me and asked if I wanted to go down there, and that was the next like 7.5 years.
Wow. So you lived in New Zealand?
Yeah.
For 7.5 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I have like never really, kind of. There's like almost 8 years just like of missing time in LA.
That's a long time. Wow. So what did you work on there? You worked on everything they did?
The first thing I did was King Kong and Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Okay.
And I was just helping to finish stuff off. On King Kong, I think they ran out of things for me to do. So Richard was like, "Oh, do you want to sculpt a maquette or something?" And I did. So I sculpted one, and he liked it, and then he just let me stick with designing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure if he really meant for me to do much design work, but he just liked the maquette, so he just let me do that.
That's great.
And I did District 9 over there.
Mm-hmm.
Where I got to I ended up being the main designer of the aliens in that movie.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
it's yeah, that was the first time I realized that like it's like you can get what you want, but you won't necessarily get it the way you want. You know,
Yeah.
because I really wanted to design, be like the main designer of a creature.
Uh-huh.
And that one, it's like the design just kept changing every other day. It was like
Yeah.
they just wanted to change it. And it was really hard. And at the end, I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. And
That's why I always kind of preferred working on background creatures that were not main
yeah,
characters, because they didn't care what you did
yeah,
as much as,
absolutely.
where it's as long as it's a zombie, or as long as it's some alien, make it cool. And it's like I got to do on some of those shows like Men in Black 2 and um uh Haunted Mansion, and just like doing background characters. I got no direction. They let me do whatever I want. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
But they're
Like
in the
that
movie for
happened.
like, 10 seconds or something. But still, it's like, for people like us, it's, I
The
think,
people who are into it will watch all the extras and
true,
like stuff that's cool, you know?
true. But I was going to
Like so
say,
many of those Men in Black aliens, it's like you never even see
yeah,
them in the movie,
right.
but it's just like I know exactly what they are, and they're like my favorite
Yeah.
ones.
But what I was going to say is, I think people, I'm, I shouldn't be speaking for you, but for people like me, it's like, I want to make the cool thing. It's all about the making. That's the fun part,
Yeah,
is creating it and the sculpting and painting it and getting this final piece that, the whole process of creating it is super fun. And
yeah,
it's not as much about seeing it in a movie as making the thing. That's the fun part to me. It's like, it's cool
yeah,
to see it in a movie, but it's like, once it happens one time, it's like not as big a deal, but making the thing is always cool every time. It's
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Except nowadays, it's like so many things are just have to be rushed, and you can't
Yeah.
have fun making it.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just like oh shit, and it's like it's like I'm gonna kill myself to make something that
might even
I
get,
won't be happy with,
yeah. And it might get cut out anyway.
and I won't, even if it gets in, I won't even care.
Yeah. Yeah. That happened like right as through my whole career. It's like I got in right at the
Yeah,
peak in like 86, I think, when I started on the blob. And it was like just slowly downhill, because that was like right at the tail end of big makeup effects movies like The
yeah.
Thing and Invaders from Mars and all these big budget makeup effects movies. And it just slowly went down and down and down. And now it's just like everything's pretty much, as far as I know, everything's kind of just rushed. It's just part of it now.
It just seems like every time I've worked on something, it's just been rushed.
Yeah. It wasn't like that at Rick's. Rarely was it like that at Rick Baker's when I worked there, but that's why he left the business,
Yeah,
you know,
I imagine so. Yeah,
because there weren't enough movies like that, and he didn't want to do it the way, the rushed way. So what?
yeah.
Well, anyway, I interrupted you. You were
Oh
talking
no,
about
no.
what else did you work on there?
Well, I the last thing I worked on there was The Hobbit, and yeah, it's like we spent. Yeah, I mean, that's also the one I left on.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Did you
it's like
quit? Like I couldn't take it, or was it like,
I mean, sorta,
oh, really? Was
because
it
originally Guillermo was supposed to be the director.
right?
And after he left, everything changed, and I just didn't want to be there anymore.
Okay, okay.
So I left, and yeah, that was rough. But
Seven and
the
a half
next thing
years is a long time, though, for you to. I mean, they should be cool with you leaving. That's a long
oh no,
time
they
to
were
get.
totally cool. I have to say, I mean, Richard was really cool about it,
Yeah,
and I'm still have a pretty good relationship with him.
cool.
Yeah, but then the next thing I worked on was Pacific Rim in Toronto.
Oh, cool.
So that was like 4.5 months of sculpting like these big kaiju maquettes.
Cool. So
So,
did you like move back? Where did you move to Canada from there, or did
oh
you come
no,
back to the States?
my family lives in Northern California, so I stopped off there first for just like maybe a couple weeks, and then I flew over to Toronto, and they I had a place to stay there. They provided production provided a place for me to stay,
Hmm.
and yeah, that was the first time I ever worked on like a part of a production team or production department, and so I was making really, for me, really good money on that project, and on top of that, they gave me per diems every week,
Oh
which
yeah,
was
per diem's cool.
yeah. And I think the first couple of weeks I just got a lobster every night and drank until I got drunk every night. uh, and I blew all my money on like art books that I didn't even want
Uh-huh.
instead of like saving my money, you know?
Yeah, you can make a lot of money if you save your per diem just from the per
Yeah,
diem.
yeah, I was stupid. I
It's
was just like,
like play money.
fuck it, you know, just, you know.
Okay, so then was that a good experience? The
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah, I just, you know, I worked, put in way more hours than I was actually paid for. You know, I just, I worked throughout the weekend. I worked until like 1 or 2 in the morning, just because I was just so happy to be there. And,
Yeah,
um,
that's a
yeah,
fun project too.
yeah, it was. They had a natural history museum up there, and I would go and like take close-up pictures of like the dinosaur fossils, and come back and try to like put those textures into the kaiju's and stuff.
Cool.
So yeah, I made a meal of it, you know, and
Yeah, yeah. They looked amazing.
oh, thanks. I mean, I designed only one of them, but um,
Okay. Which one? I wouldn't know now. I haven't seen it since it
oh
came
yeah,
out in the
sure.
theater, but when I go to
um,
look at it, which one is it?
I'm gonna show you.
Oh, okay.
It's like a little toy figure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
uh, yeah, the big gorilla looking guy. I just realized this is an audio podcast.
Well, it goes on YouTube also. It goes on YouTube
Okay,
also. Yeah.
but yeah, and since then I've just been doing freelance design stuff and toy work and uh, yeah, and just, that's really it. I mean, there's nothing. Oh, I worked on a bunch of other of Guillermo's movies too,
Yeah,
like
you worked on Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak and Shape of Water. Like
Oh
me and
yeah.
Dave Grasso did some early design work for that.
Cool.
And yeah, yeah, that's not too much more I can say.
So you're just, I mean, yeah, you're a freelancer. You know, it sounds like you. I mean, that's a long time, 7.5 years. It's a long time to be at one shop, but that is like, you know, only working on specific films. And you know, it's like people usually
Yeah,
that if you work in Hollywood, um, you know, people tend to go to different shops, and you work on a lot
yeah,
more
yeah,
different projects. You know what I mean?
yeah. True.
It's like down in WETA, it's all kind of in house, and it's like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and it doesn't help when a lot of the projects like get canceled or shelved or you know, delayed or
Yeah,
whatever.
you
You
can't
know.
go jump onto another studio down in
No,
New Zealand.
no. It's just like because what I wanted really badly was to like my friend Jamie Beswork down there. He designed Gollum for the Lord of the Rings,
Hmm.
and I just always wanted to have an opportunity like that where you just get to design like this major character that has this really huge impactful role.
Right.
And it was a while before I started getting designs into movies, but then those movies kept like kind of like we'd be like a couple months into it and it just like fall over.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just like one after the other.
yeah,
And it wasn't until District 9 that something actually made it to the theater.
yeah, yeah. That happens. So yeah, okay. So you kind of like sounds like you didn't really make it, um, as like an effects guy in LA. Not that you didn't make it, and not that you tried and didn't make it, but it was like you're kind of more of a freelancer that
Yeah.
does all kinds of
Yeah.
different things. Makeup effects, sculpting being one of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's probably right. I mean, it's just kind of like I know a lot of people in the business, but I haven't really worked at a lot of shops, so I
Right.
don't. Yeah, it's just like it's kind of like I'm just kind of peripheral to the business.
That's a good thing. Trust me. You just worked
I
on
mean,
the cool stuff. That's you just worked on cool
yeah,
stuff. It's like, when you're like a lifer in that specific industry, you work on some cool stuff and then a whole bunch of really terrible stuff, you know.
yeah.
It's like I worked on more bad movies than good movies, I'm pretty sure.
Did, did you find that you had much time to do your own stuff when you did that, like when you were working full time, like in effects?
Well, I um you know, I started around 2000 where I'm like, I'm going to be a fine artist. And then I was at Rick's at the time, and it was like 8 to 5. And people didn't really work late unless you had to for a reason, and they would pay you
Yeah,
overtime and stuff. But generally people left at 5. So I had, once I decided I was going to do that, I was in my 30s still. So I would work at night and then work on the weekends and work on my lunch hour at Rick's on stuff too. So
yeah,
I was, I didn't have a lot of time, but I had weekends and after work and lunch hours. And I just, at that point, I had this kind of moment where I was thinking, oh, I'm never going to be able to get out of this business. And I saw it like getting worse and worse. And I got
mm,
kind of freaked out, like this feeling of dread, like, oh my God, I'm stuck and on this sinking ship. Even though it's still going, I know people still in the business that are doing great. Um, but I don't know. I felt like I had to get out. So I was really motivated to put in the extra hours, but I didn't put a lot of extra hours on the jobs, on the
yeah,
effects jobs. So I just took all my spare time and like, I have to get out. So I did all my stuff that way.
yeah. I think you made the right choice.
And 7 years, it took me 7 years.
Wow.
So the whole time you were in New Zealand, that's period of time,
Yeah.
I was like, I
I'm sorry. What year did you like finally leave the
It
effects?
was, I think, whatever year Land of the Lost came out in.
When?
That was, let me look. That was the movie. That was the last movie I worked on at Spectral Motion,
Mhm.
the remake. I mean that was the last full time job. I did a few. 2009. It came out in 2009, so 2008, I guess, probably 2007, 2008. I was like, I made the decision in 2000. I kind of was figuring it out for the first year or so, and then I started getting in group shows. And I mean, I'd run a painting down to the Cannibal Flower show at lunch hour on my lunch hour at Rick's,
Mhm.
and then run back to get back in time to work again. And so I was hustling for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the time I left, I had I had my website, I had a reputation. I think I had done a solo show or like a 4-man show at Copro, and I was selling, but not hugely selling. And then I got laid off at Spectral Motion. And so I was like, well, I could get another job. I could try to get another job, which I'm sure I could probably get another job in effects, or I could just try and do this art thing full time. And I just went
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I mean, this like the writer's strike right now is just
Yeah, right.
like, this is a good time to do the Patreon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like and now I have like no distractions. It's just gotta. I
Yeah. I
just
mean,
gotta
I know people, that are making like $10,000 a month on that, doing art stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it could be it could be, you know, a full-time gig of doing what you want. It's just you got to really get. It's hard to get people over there though. You know, people are used to seeing that
Yeah.
stuff for free all the time on Instagram, but
Yeah.
the
I'm
true
starting to
fans
do
will come
aware.
over.
Yeah. I think one thing I'm realizing is like I think the people who tend to like my stuff happen to be other artists as well.
Right.
Um, and I don't know, like the people who make like have like you know like make 10 grand a month and stuff. Like I imagine that's like a wider audience, you know, that they're appealing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I still think it's possible. You know, I don't know what Jasmine Beckett Griffith does. I don't know if you know her. I
Yeah,
don't know if she's doing 10. She might be doing more than 10 grand. Um, and she does like maybe more mainstream stuff than us. It's not
yeah,
monsters, but it is it's, you know, she's around, I don't know, probably around your age, maybe. And in the same scene, you know, we've shown at the
yeah.
same galleries. But she has like tie-ins with some Disney characters. She does like her variations of Disney characters. So she's got like more mainstream. She's more mainstream. But I've seen Pete Morbacher. Do you know him?
I'm
He's
so sorry. I don't know. His name's
he's
flying
like a
over my head.
digital artist that does. He's the guy who convinced me to get on Patreon because he was around that. He was getting somewhere around that. I think maybe I don't know what he's making now, but and he does like angels, but they're like
Okay.
creatures. They don't look like angels. They look like
Right,
weird,
right,
trippy,
right.
psychedelic
Yeah, that's cool.
monsters almost. Really, really,
Like the
really
way you're
cool.
actually described.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. So
Yeah,
he kind of
so
it's called the Angelarium. It's like a whole series, and that's kind of his Patreon. But I mean, he's really good. I just you know, I still think that
actually, I wonder if I've seen one of his things recently.
I'm
It's like
sure.
like a bunch of wings and eyes, like.
Well, they look more like I don't know. Imagine if like if Brahm did a
Oh, okay,
kind of angel, a weird angel. It's a little more
okay,
like that, all
more
digital.
figurative.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But they're great. He's amazing. And
yeah, that's cool.
I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but I think in this whole big world, there's got to be enough people that like monsters that to give you 10 grand a month. There's got to be enough, you know? It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I think my problem is like my subject matters tend to be like the sin of gluttony with like a mouth in the ass and um like a little I don't have it here.
no, your stuff's amazing. So,
I mean like stuff like this. I mean I don't know. Is
oh
it
yeah,
enough of
no, this is great. Yeah, it's excellent. Your stuff's amazing. Your
um
stuff's perfect. I think you're perfect for Patreon. You just,
I mean I hope so. Yeah, no, I mean I really appreciate everyone who joined up so far. It's just like I don't know. I mean, that anyone would even, you know, give $5 a month. You know, it's just
yeah.
it's they don't have to, you know, and it's like it's really cool.
It's cool though. I mean, the whole Patreon model is like people when they like what you're doing, they want to support you, even if they don't necessarily get something back.
Yeah.
You know, like there's people that have joined mine that just don't never check it. I don't think, and they don't want rewards or anything. It's like they just want to support, and it's like I get that because I do that too. I support a bunch of other Patreons just to
Yeah.
support them but I never look at them because I don't have time, and it's like
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
important thing is that I'm supporting them. Um, so it's a trip. I just think there's a way for monster people to make that kind of money. I just there's enough people out there. I just know it. It's just a matter of getting them over there. You know.
Yeah. It's about finding enough people who want to like who like seeing like a talking like ass with like wearing like a judge's wig or something,
Yeah.
which is like what you'll see on my picture.
Don't oversell yourself. Yeah, yeah. You'll hopefully you'll get some people from this podcast because the Dark Art Society has a Patreon and I have one. And so,
Yeah, I've joined to your Patreon.
oh, cool. Thanks. Excellent. Yeah, I'll join. I'll definitely join yours if I haven't already. But uh, so yeah, just keep pushing it, and just
Yeah,
imagine making that kind of money. Just that's the dream. You don't have to worry about shows. You can only do art shows if you want to, and not have to worry about whether work sells or not.
that would
Because
be
you're
so cool.
because you're getting a steady paycheck. You know.
Yeah, I just got like a email from someone I met at Monsterpalooza who's apparently offering some kind of work, possibly. It's just like I don't know. I feel like maybe I should do it, but I also kind of just want to concentrate on the Patreon, you know.
Yeah, you're right.
So
Well, a big part of that, the concentrating on Patreon, I'm bad at this, um, is promoting it so
yeah,
people know about it, and at least giving them the opportunity to say yes or no to it. Oh, and they've got um free week long trials. Like you can get a free week.
oh,
They just
okay,
did that recently. So I think you have to click a setting.
okay.
Um,
No, I should check that out.
yeah, because I need to do that and promote it more. Everyone listening, there's a free. You can get Patreon free for a week. I'm so convinced that if you join for a week, you will love it. That's the hardest part is getting people just to check it out and create an account.
Yeah, no, just like in the last 2 weeks since Monsterpalooza, just I've been like way more active on social media than I've ever been before.
Mm,
Just trying to, because yeah, I mean, no one's gonna know about it,
yeah,
so you gotta push it out there, I guess.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So that I mean that's cool though because it's like seeing I get to see someone like you make just the kind of stuff that you are interested in instead of interpreting something for a toy or for a movie or something.
Yeah, I think the problem is it's like the issue I have with designing for a lot of movies is there's a certain kind of thing that is required, and like, my stuff tends to look like this, and just like goofy shit,
Yeah.
weird, unpleasant, goofy shit, and everything, that tends to be kind of streamlined and sexy, and and
Yeah.
that's just not what I do.
Right.
Um, I can't do robots at all. I can't do superheroes. So it's just like, uh,
Right.
I mean, apparently a lot of people like this kind of stuff, but just it's not what they're asking for in the movies,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look at Monster Palooza. There's a perfect example. How many people go through that on a
Yeah.
weekend? That's if you got everybody in that place to give you like $5 a month, shit, you'd be
Oh
loaded
shit.
or a
You,
buck or anything. It's
you
like,
at least have a living wage there. It's
yeah, so there's a market for it. There's a market for it. Um, yeah, I'm thinking about, I want to like revamp my Patreon. Because I've got like $1 for the first tier, and then
yeah.
$3, and then $5, and then $10, and then $50, and then $100. It's like it's too many tiers. I'd rather just squish the first three tiers together, but
Yeah.
they make it's a total pain in the ass on there. Like you have to, it's not easy to just change tiers. You have to like
Yeah.
message all the people in the
Oh
tier,
God.
and you have to go jump through all these hoops.
See, this is why I should have done this like 5, 6, 7. I don't know how long Patreon's been around, but I
Yeah,
should have done it when it first came out.
yeah, I know. I
But
think
I
I've been
just
doing it for like 5 years, maybe now.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I ever heard about it was like maybe in 2018 or something.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I guess I would. sat on my hands this whole time, and even with Monster Palooza, I only did it this year because I was like, oh no, that's too much commitment. It's too much work. I don't want to do that, you know.
Mhm.
But it just makes more sense than anything else right now to do these things.
Definitely. Yeah. So how did it go at Monster Palooza?
It went really well. I was like terrified of just the logistical stuff. Like I didn't know where to go or what to do. But once I figured it out, I really enjoyed it. I met a lot of people who were really cool,
Hmm.
and it's just you always like getting a lot of positive reactions to your stuff, and I did, and I made my money back, and it was
Great.
good. So, and I live really close, to Pasadena, so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so it was very it was a pretty good weekend. I'm definitely going to do it next year as long as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. I stopped
Are
doing
you
it.
gonna do it again?
Well, I stopped at the pandemic, and the next year came around and I still was like, I don't want to be, I don't want to, because I never got COVID. I still have, I mean, I'm vaccinated
Oh
and
yeah,
everything, but I never got it. So,
yeah. Me too. I never. I somehow, unless like after this call, I suddenly start getting sick because it's like exactly 2 weeks since
right.
it was over. But no, like we even started to kind of be less like because we wore masks when we were there,
Hmm.
and after a while, I just started pulling it down. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'll be sick tomorrow. But so far I've been okay. So
That's good.
I just thought I because I was really worried too. But I just ended up thinking I can't let this control me anymore. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
the thing is, it's like I stopped doing it and then I didn't do it the next year. And then I didn't do it the next year, which is this year, I think, maybe.
yeah,
And because once I didn't do it, it made me realize like it's a lot of work. Like I've been doing them a long time, and the money's good. Like I was making good money, but
it is a
not
ton of work.
yeah, not crazy money. Not more,
Yeah,
probably not more than I could make if I like took a couple, spent the time prepping for it and then had a big sale on my website. If I,
yeah,
or painting some studies and having a big study sale, I could probably make as much or more that way.
yeah, yeah.
But on the other hand, it's great to meet the fans in person.
I think that's actually important too. Like
Yeah.
just meeting because I would have liked to have seen you at Monster Palooza this
Yeah, I
year.
know, I know. And I didn't get to see all
Um,
my friends and stuff, but I'm also getting old. Yeah, it's like it's harder for me to do stuff like physical stuff now.
yeah. No, I mean I'm like I'm 44 and I'm already like I can't handle things. I just fall asleep. Like I used to be able to like work until 4 in the morning
I know.
after working all day, and then get up in time and go to work and stuff. But can't do it now.
I know. I
Just,
know.
like I'm afraid I'll be like I'll have left the stove on or something and then
Yeah.
just fall asleep.
Well, I'm 11 years older than you. So imagine doing Monster Palooza 11 years from now when you're
Oh God.
that much more, your back hurts that much
No, I
more.
don't think
It's like I could do
I
it,
totally understand.
but man, it's like I don't have to. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I am torn because I like Elliot. Elliot's super cool.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
the whole show is amazing. The people there are cool. I like doing it. I guess if someone could do all the setup and I just had to show up and then leave and then show up the next day, I would stay
Yeah,
all 8 hours or 10, 12 hours, however long it is, and then leave and not have to tear down and carry the boxes. And
yeah.
I would do it then. But yeah, I don't know if I don't know. That's a lot to coordinate as well. Because I got like a whole
Yeah,
big booth with walls and I put all my prints up and,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's God.
it's a lot of work.
I think mine was relatively streamlined. I mean, especially I also live really close and my wife was there to help me out. So,
Yeah, yeah. My wife
um,
helps me too, and actually, her best friend would help. So we had like a team of 3 people, but it's still hard because we're old. So
yeah,
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, do you have like any? Are you? I don't know. Are you? Do you have any vision for where you want things to go, or are you kind of like playing it by ear as a freelancer, or are you just hoping that Patreon pans out and you can do your
I,
own stuff, or do you want to make a book? Do you what are your?
oh, I would love to make a book. I
You
mean,
should. I
that's one of
mean,
the things.
it would be great. I would buy a book of your stuff for sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I would really love to. I tried to get published as a children's book author.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't. I only tried two agents, and so I can't really complain.
Yeah.
But it's tough because it's like you can't. They don't like you to send attachments in an email.
Hmm.
And then if you send it, they just won't even look at it. So if you're you're illustrating it as well, I think you just have to get in as an illustrator or a writer. So,
Right.
but anyway, I mean, but I think you're talking in terms of more like an art of book or something.
Yeah. Or yeah. Whatever. I don't know. I'm just curious what
I
your.
just don't even know how to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, I did one, and I know how to do it.
I have it right here.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Right here. By the way, I don't think it's in this book, but I got to tell you, one painting you did really like because it made me laugh was the malevolent cloud.
Oh yeah, that was for a friend of mine who's a collector who he designed the it was an Apple cloud icon,
Oh, okay.
and it was like a happy cloud, and so he wanted like my version of that because he's a designer.
Well, I think the title especially makes it.
Malevolent cloud.
The malevolent cloud. It just
No,
made me
did you have you
laugh.
seen my new book?
I haven't. Is it like
It's like super thick, 400-page, crazy
so
dystopia.
can I get that off of like your store or
Yeah,
like
it's on my website on
okay.
yeah. But it's like twice as big as that Black Magic book, twice as
Oh,
thick,
wow.
and
Jesus.
it mythologizes all the characters. It has like a
That's really cool.
kind of like it's like a dungeon master guide almost of the characters and their characteristics and stuff. That's
I love your kind of thing. I love your figures.
oh, thanks.
It's kind of where I'm trying to I always mean to go this way, but my stuff ends up always being animal based, which I am trying to get away from, but I never really do.
I mean,
But I
it's
like how
not a
your stuff
bad
is.
thing.
Oh, well, let me. I don't know if you've seen this guy, but it's the
Yeah, that's
sin
amazing.
of gluttony. He's got a mouth in his ass.
That's great.
But
That's so
that's like the
funny.
kind of thing I'm talking about, where it's like, and why I like your stuff is because it's kind of it's almost like kind of abstract, kind of
Kind of what? Oh yeah, like
abstract,
kind of
yeah,
surreal, weird.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like I can't really trace the lineage, and it's very much its own thing,
Well,
both
thanks.
stylistically and also just as like a kind of creature. It's
Oh,
just
cool.
I really like that,
Thanks.
and I'm just trying to move that way more myself.
Yeah, I'm all for it, man. I want to see it. But you know, the way I did the book was I did a Kickstarter to pay for it. It was a nightmare. It was I don't know if you've heard. I've talked about it a lot in on the
Yeah,
podcast. It was totally
I think that's
because
why I'm afraid to do
I didn't have
it.
a vision of it. If I had a vision, like how it would be laid out and how it
Yeah,
would be organized, because it's like it's parts of it's there's a map, there's areas, and it's like everything was
yeah,
named, all the characters were figured out, like who what they did, but it was just a matter of like how it could be laid out and organized that totally screwed me over. Aside from a bunch of Kickstarter issues, I overcommitted and stuff. But if you do the Kickstarter right, it's actually not that not that hard to make a book. You just you get a good a graphic designer. The graphic designer who did everything for me, like kind of was the go between the bookmaker
yeah.
and myself as far as like specs. Like they would tell her what they needed the specs to be, like how all these weird printer formats that I don't know anything about. And then I just talk to them like for payment and approvals of proofs and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of easy in that way. So, if you can raise enough money on Kickstarter and like not expect to make any more money than that,
Yeah.
just kind of sell the books through the Kickstarter and that pays for everything. It's super doable, So
Well, now that I'm doing Patreon, like got off my butt and started doing Patreon, I might have the courage to do this now.
yeah,
'Cause it's just like the commitment that I'm afraid of.
yeah.
I'm afraid of promising to people and then just being stuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happened to me, and it ruined 5 years of my life. It was a
Yeah, I
nightmare.
see that.
But I just kept over promising reward. I'm getting them done. I know regular listeners of the podcast, I bet, are just so sick of me talking about it because I've been complaining for like 5 years about this. But it's like most of the stuff has shipped. I still owe a few rewards here and there, but overall I've gotten everything taken care of, most of it. But I know how to do it now without screwing up. So you could always, I would gladly tell you my experience and how to avoid it. So, cause I could do one now. I want to do a volume 2 of the book actually, because I know how to do it now.
I mean, do you think you'll actually enjoy yourself doing a second one?
Yeah, because the hard parts I'll figured out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The lay I just
No, I'm definitely gonna get it. I really love your art.
It's yeah, I think it's way cooler than I mean the Black Magic book is cool, but this one is just like epic. It's really big. It's like a big encyclopedia almost of my monsters. So yeah, but it was insane. Can be done though. That's why I kind of want to almost like would like another shot at it to do it right.
Yeah.
So I don't take 5 years to deliver it. And but I also want to do a comic book now that I have all the rules of the world are laid out in this book. So I want to like tell stories now with it.
Yeah.
And that'll probably get kickstarted. Maybe. I don't know.
It's just great to have too much to do than not enough.
Yeah. That's never my problem. I'm never bored. I never don't have enough to do. That's for damn sure. So do you do like commission stuff? Have you done a lot of commission, like fine art commission stuff?
I did one or two. I've done 2 illustrations as commissions for people.
Mm-hmm.
And those are a lot of fun. I recently some people. So I did this big dragon for Monster Palooza.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know if you. I don't know if you're connected to me on Facebook. I think we are. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't been on social media very often for the last year or so. I'm not really on there that much. I kind of took a break.
Yeah. I quit for like 2 years just because it was like kind of during the pandemic. I just stopped checking it. It's stressing me out too much. But yeah, so that I did this dragon, and that was like the sort of thing where it's like it's a subject that people already really like, and you just have to, find a way to do it in the most appealing way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a really big hit for me, like at Monster Palooza and on social media. So some people have wanted me to commission me to make another one, but I'm just like, I don't know. It's all like kind of like up to them whether they're happy or not, with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just worry that I'm like, I don't know, stepping into a situation that it'll be hard to get out of if I need to.
Yeah, you want what every artist I think ultimately wants, which is to not have to answer to anybody except yourself, your own creative impulse.
But I also have to justify, spending all this time making it too.
Paying
for stuff, and so
That's where Patreon comes in. And there's art shows. Have you? I mean, I know
Oh yeah, yeah.
you've been in Conjoined,
Joined in the Hive Gallery.
and
Yeah,
oh, okay, in the Hive too, right?
yeah.
So, um, you haven't
The problem is
pursued.
that
It's like
um,
the whole like gallery fine art thing is it's like it's hard to do, and it's almost like for someone like you, probably it's like an extra thing, just to like one
yeah.
piece of the puzzle, maybe, of all these things you're doing to make the thing work
The
financially.
problem is like I understand why they need to take as much of a cut as they do. I
Yeah,
totally understand that because it's in their show for free, but they got to make their money. I get that,
yeah,
but
it's
it's
a
just
lot of
like
work.
so if I even just the cost of the materials alone for sculptures, especially big ones, it's like um, I just I feel like I'm losing money,
Yeah,
because I remember like when I had lunch with you at Zella's all those years ago, like you said that's why you just moved into painting,
yeah,
because
yeah.
um,
It wasn't feasible unless you're doing
yeah,
like one-offs in epoxy clay or something, and not
yeah,
molding
yeah,
things
yeah.
and casting. But then it has its own problems too, because it's harder
Or
harder to work with. And
I just like shoot a video of me like cutting up the silicone mold like afterwards.
yeah, right,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I guess that's what you do.
Well, you do additions, you do additions, and that's the thing. It's like if you're doing a mold and casting, then you have to do at least a few of them, and then it'll lower your price a little bit, and so you make your money across selling multiples that are signed and numbered,
Yep,
hand painted.
yep,
So instead of one that's like it's going to take
yeah, yeah, some crazy amount of money.
10 years to sell, or like that one I did,
Yep, yep.
you know. So that's what I do. Like I kind of keep my prices. I do sculpture editions, and you know, keep the price sort of affordable.
Yeah, it's always like when I think of the amount of money that would make it worth my while, it's like there's no way in hell I would pay that for anything, even if I was a billionaire.
Yeah,
Maybe if I was
well,
a billionaire I would, but I'm not. So
yeah. You gotta, it's kind of like you gotta go look around and see what the range is that people are collectors are paying for stuff,
mhm.
and sort of fit it somewhere in there, maybe. Because you could put
Yeah,
any price on anything, but if it's too high, just no one's gonna buy it.
it's just insane. I was like looking online, some people are selling like silicone figures of celebrities that are like it's a lot of money, but considering the amount of work that goes into it, it's like, how are they doing this? It's
Are they?
like
What do you mean? They're like full size
they're like,
figures, or
yeah, like I don't know, like a full size, like Mariah Carey or something.
really life
I,
size? How much are they charging?
I don't remember. Like, God, I don't remember what the cost was, but it was surprising to me.
Yeah.
Like maybe just a several $1,000s,
Oh wow. Yeah.
instead of tens of thousands.
Yeah. I would think something like that would be like.
It could be like if you see it in person, it's not as good.
Yeah.
Um, or those people who like custom sculpt bride and groom for your wedding cake or whatever, and it's like surprisingly affordable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like how do they? I don't like that because it totally um, doesn't give me a leg to stand on for what I want to charge for my stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've talked about it often on the podcast that I price stuff really low, and then I slowly raise the prices every year,
Yeah,
10 to 20%, and I am finally getting to a point where I feel like, I mean, after all this time, 20 years, I feel like I'm getting to a point where I'm selling stuff and I'm making a decent hourly rate.
okay.
Maybe close to what I made in effects. Maybe.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
but it was like that was going from zero in the early 2000s to when there was really no market for dark art, or even
Yeah.
not really any galleries even for dark art. So it's easier, I think, to make it doing monster creatures and stuff. And but and then there was like the financial meltdown that happened in like 2007, where it's like
Yeah.
I didn't raise my prices for I think 3 or 4 years or something.
Yeah.
So there's like a missing time gap in there. But other than that, I would raise a little bit every year, like usually 10%. And that way, you're keeping the stuff affordable, and you're looking like way in the future for, I'm going to be making this much, if you figure out like a percentage, you can, even though you're selling cheap now, you can think, okay, in 10 years, if I go 10%, or whatever a year, you can kind of figure out what you'll be able to sell those things in 10 years,
Yeah.
and kind of make it
Yeah.
on the back end if you live that long.
Well, if I die before then, it'll take care of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, there won't be anything to worry about.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's a crazy business, but it's worth it. Still worth it.
Yeah.
Still worth
I
it.
can't imagine doing anything else. It's just, I don't know what else I'd do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like when I was, before I went to college, my parents imagined that I would double major and do like some kind of engineering or something responsible like that. So it seeming, like that. And there's no way in hell I could do that.
No,
I can't.
no.
I don't remember anything past like junior high school math,
Yeah, yeah. Same here. Yeah, it's we got different brains than most people. And the world is not oriented towards our kind of brains.
Because I just feel like I mean, I think I can speak for most of us. So we just have to do it, even though it doesn't make any sense and it doesn't make any financial sense,
Yeah, I know.
or any kind of sense at all. It's just like, again, it's just like, I don't even know why I like monsters. I just do, and they're cool. And without them, my life would be less. It would be poorer without them,
Right. Yeah, but it's not like they're. But you can't explain that to someone who's not interested.
Who doesn't get it? It's like you either like it or you don't. It's like, why do we need to make these weird, ugly things? It's just
yeah, yeah. But luckily, there are people that want to see them made, and and more and more people coming around all the time. It's weird too when you start. It's so funny because it's I've just been seat in my pants from day one. When I got laid off, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. I didn't know what I was doing. It's just was like whatever I needed to do at the moment, and it was all like living in the moment, figuring it out, selling stuff however I could online, and trying to doing everything I could. And I remember thinking, like, okay, eventually these young kids maybe who are into my stuff are going to be adults with good jobs, and they'll be making money, and they'll have gotten into me when they're young, so they'll still be into me when they're older.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen too. Now, like I've seen people have bought for me that are like, yeah, I was into your stuff in high school, and
well, that's awesome.
And they're like in their 30s or 40s now. And
I mean, I think that's one of the arguments for going to Monsterpalooza. Like even if you don't necessarily make that much more money or whatever, it's just like just keeping that connection
for sure
alive. Is good.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a long term, it's a lifetime thing being an artist. It's like you can't. It's like the only reason you should do it professionally is if, like you're saying, if you're just compelled to do it, like if you have to do it.
Yeah, it's just like I'm thinking, like, what if one day we can't cast things out of resin or whatever? I mean, I'd probably make it out of paper mache.
Yeah, exactly.
Socks and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what was it? Oh God, I had a thought, it just fell right out of my head.
Welcome to my world.
I don't. I'm finding like maybe I got COVID on the down low and I didn't know, and now I have like because I brain fog constantly.
Is that
Um,
was it like that before?
Maybe I don't remember. That's
You can't
the
remember if
brain fog. I don't. Brain fog prevents me
it.
from remembering.
Did you ever? Do you have ADHD? Do you think
I
or
probably do. I've never been diagnosed. I
yeah?
have. I mean, I've never been diagnosed with this either, but I'm positive I have OCD,
Okay, yeah,
OCD and ADHD at the same time.
yeah.
And
I have OCD, and that's why I went to therapy because I had it so
oh yeah,
bad, and when I was younger,
oh gosh,
and that really helped a lot. But I'm 99% sure I got ADHD. I'm almost positive. Like every time because I once I started researching it, it was like I tick pretty much every box. You know,
yeah.
like I can't. Things just leave my head immediately. You have to write everything down as soon as you think of it, or else it's
Oh my
gone.
God, yeah, that's me.
And
Wow.
uh, forget walking out to go do something and then forgetting why you're in the other room and
Oh.
losing shit
But I don't.
all the time.
I think it's not just me getting older. I think it's just me anyway. It's just like
Yeah.
because I have a friend who like he's an amazing artist and he's does the same stuff as we do and he's just the same. It's like I think he was actually diagnosed with ADHD
Mm-hmm.
and I think he thinks he has OCD as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's
It's
weird.
connected for sure. It's like all that stuff is like connected to autism as well. There's like they're all like these neurological conditions, I believe, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I was mildly on the autism spectrum too. I would, I don't think I am, but it wouldn't surprise me because it's like, I definitely do
Yeah. I
weird.
mean, like I'm super awkward around people. I don't know if that's a clue.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
uh, uh,
I think it's a really wide spectrum though. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely functional. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but what was it? Yeah, but it's weird because it's like what we do requires so much focus and attention and ability to concentrate, and yet, ADHD, it's just like I don't know how that works.
But that's a thing with, I think that's a thing with ADHD is that you can hyper focus on things that you're interested in,
Oh,
and
okay,
things
well
that
then
you're
I
not
fully have
interested in,
it.
you can't focus on them. They like go in one ear and out the other.
I, it's like I can't do taxes. I can't
Oh, it's
book.
terrible.
I can't just figure stuff out like by looking it up on the internet because it's like I don't want to, and then I just can't. I can't do it. It's just like that's why the Patreon and all the stuff. I was really slow to get because it's like I have to read, I have to like
Right.
research
I
stuff,
know.
I
Yeah.
have to work. It's like
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I don't
Like
know.
paperwork and stuff like that is just like a nightmare to
Yeah,
me. It's so hard. It's so like painful, but it's like I have to do it. I got to do
yeah.
my taxes. Like I have a tax guy, but I'm on an extension right now, and I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to.
Oh God,
I don't have money to like prepay, so
no.
I'm gonna get like fees on them. I'm gonna get late fees on them, and I just was like, well, I gotta let it. I can do. I can only do what I can do, but I have to go and categorize everything and go and figure out my taxes, and it's just
Yeah,
fucking hell.
sucks.
It's hell, man. It's the worst. I hate it so much. I'm just not into it at all, and it's really difficult. But you know,
Paperwork is the real monsters.
yeah, exactly. It just feels like I feel like my brain is not built for it. It's weird. It's really weird. It's like I'm things like music. Like I got really good at playing music and writing music, painting,
Mhm.
sculpting, computer animation. I got into all these things I was interested in. Filmmaking when I was a kid, I used to make movies and all things I was interested in. I would like just makeup effects, mask making when I was 12 years old. It's like if I was interested, I would just like totally be a pit bull
Yeah,
and narrow in the focus and everything else, forget about it. And I was able to get really good at all these different things.
Yeah.
But I tried sports. I tried even liking football because like my dad liked it
Yeah.
and my brother liked it, and I just couldn't. I just didn't do anything for me, and I couldn't get
Yeah.
into it. And I
I
tried
never
to.
liked sports. It would be so handy
I
if I
know.
were. You'd have something to talk about with
I know.
anyone you meet.
Because everybody
And
likes sports.
I mean, I don't know, like, because I had asthma when I was little, so I couldn't play sports. Maybe that's why I don't like it because I never. But I just find it boring to watch too. I just
Yeah.
and I'm definitely we're definitely alone in that. Like the entire rest of the world likes it
I
a
know.
lot.
It's huge.
Hey, no one's ever gonna be okay with AI sports, right? It's like that's no one would stand for that, right?
Yeah.
But like no, but art, fuck them,
Yeah.
fuck
Right.
'em.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
like
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm still not that worried about AI, but again, especially if I think you're on the right path, because
I hope so.
it's so the weird thing to me. It's so ironic that fine art is probably the one area that AI can't touch,
Yeah,
because fine art is about collecting and original, one of a kind, handmade pieces
yeah,
created by a specific artist. It's not
yeah, yeah.
decoration. It's like
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, no,
and
you're right.
AI can't do those things. Even like AI art is still digital and it's not physical. So it's like even if you had AI create connected to a robot that made paintings, and I have seen a robot that makes paintings,
Yeah,
and it's still not the same thing unless you like, because a big part of collecting is you're buying into sort of the artist's story and
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
artist,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking about Patreon. Is like I'm not. It's not just the final image or even sculpture or whatever. It's also like just the kind of like a window into somebody's life. That's kind of
Yeah.
it's like you're living with you're like you're with them when they're drinking coffee and making their thing, and it's like that's what's cool about it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's as much the product as like the actual
Yeah.
art,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
a robot can't give you. So
Yeah.
unless they
Right.
can train robots to like drink coffee and stuff. So
Yeah. The way I looked at it is like, because I'm a fan of other artists. I think most artists are fans of other artists,
absolutely,
and I just was when I started thinking about doing Patreon, I was like, imagine um, if Giger had a Patreon, or Frank Frazetta or
yeah.
Beksinski, and you got to see, oh man, I would be all over that.
Oh
I would
yeah.
be all over that in a heartbeat. And so you got to figure there's not that I'm comparing myself to any of those guys, but you got to figure there's somebody who likes your work enough to
Yeah.
think, to feel kind of that same, like, oh, I'd like to see
I mean, it's just
what
so
it's like
flattering
behind the scenes.
I mean, just having a few patrons so far, it's like it's so flattering to me to know that
Yeah, it's
people
amazing. It's
care.
yeah, it's amazing when people buy your work, and
It is.
it's the ultimate thing, if we can make a living wage
I guess
selling our
back
work.
to like, yeah, the original question, like, what's my vision? I mean, my vision is really just I just want to keep doing stuff that I think is cool and
Hmm.
be able to make it that way. Really, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't have. It used to be I really wanted to design something like Gollum or something in the movie that would be cool, and now it just maybe it's just because that goal is so elusive that I just don't even try for that anymore.
Well,
um,
the thing is, ironically, if you branch out, this is what I found after leaving the effects industry. Not that it's happened to me much, but it has at least one movie, and it kind of happened on Hellboy 2. Guillermo gave me a creature, I think based
yeah, I
on.
love that guy. I was gonna say like when you were talking about characters that you get to do whatever you want.
Yeah, right.
That's just like that's like one of the coolest things in the movie.
Oh,
Just,
thanks.
didn't he call this seeing dick or something?
I don't
Like,
know, probably.
like one of the behind the scenes things. He's like, everyone gather around to seeing dick.
That's funny. I have to, I don't even think I may have seen it. I don't know. But I feel like he let me do that because he was into my fine art and he bought a
Yeah,
bunch of work. And so
that's
I
so
don't know
cool.
that I would have gotten a chance to do this original creature if I hadn't if he wasn't a fan of my fine art. So if you start doing your own work and you build up your name and reputation of your own original vision,
Yeah,
then it might come back around that you get to design a character because often I think what a good director like Guillermo will do is if they want something really cool, specific,
yeah,
they'll hire like a Wayne Barlow
yeah, yeah,
who's
exactly.
reputable. He's
The
not.
hired person.
Yeah, he's hiring because he's got an amazing vision
Yeah,
and he's established as a fine artist and illustrator, you know?
yeah, that's what I love about Guillermo. Like a lot of sometimes I get calls from places, and it's clear that it's just like I'm just a list on a list of names that they got somehow,
Right.
and it's just like you're. It's kind of like oh I need an IT guy or I need a plumber, and it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah. Pair of
it's like it
hands.
could even not be creature stuff. Like it could be like environments which I don't know how to do at all, and
Hmm.
it's just concept artists. It's just like that's why that kind of thing doesn't really work out with me.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be, I don't know, unless you want a plucked chicken man, it's like, um, yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking about this yesterday or the day before. Like, it's weird leaving leaving effects. I was like, because I was good. I was good at what I did. Um, I was sort of like set. I didn't need a portfolio. It's like,
yeah,
I'm sure you're the same way, like people call you for work, but I was like, I would get, people liked my work. So I would get long jobs, for years at a shop. So,
mm,
I didn't jump around too much because I would always get kind of like in, wherever I was working. And I was, sometimes I think it's like, wait, maybe I should have just been happy with being a pair of hands that realized someone else's vision because I was really good at it.
mm,
But at the same, because it gets frustrating doing this stuff where you're like, every month you got to try and figure out how to pay the bills, and it just is. It's not a steady paycheck like effects. But on the other hand, I'm thinking like, but I've, I've, I, it's not true. It's just that's like more of a doubt that you have as
yeah,
when you get frustrated because the truth is having stepped out of that comfortable place and gone out on my own, I've grown as a person, like probably as much as I had grown from being an 18-year-old kid wanting to be in the movies and then getting in that at age 19 or whatever. That's
yeah,
that, those first few years or just the experience of kind of becoming an adult in the film industry. You grow, you change as a person a lot and you grow and develop. And I've changed or I've grown at least that much because I went out on my own. But it's painful. It's not easy, but I feel like I'm more of a fully realized human being because I did it.
I mean, you totally made the right choice. I'm glad, that everyone's seeing like your personal stuff, and not just stuff you're making for movies,
Yeah, I am too.
like, uh, like, just, movies that just everyone forgets about. And like, as soon as they leave the theater,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now look at what Paul did. Paul Komodo did on
yeah.
the Thing remake where they covered it all up with CGI.
Oh
It's
God,
like
Christ.
they did this most amazing shit, and then they just covered it up, did in
Yeah,
digital. It's like
it's yeah,
to
it's
make it look
ridiculous.
worse. Oh man, yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, no, I mean, that
If you have no expectations, then FX is a good job. If you just enjoy the work
Yeah,
and don't have any
but that's just the thing. I
expectations.
don't, like I don't just like to just be a pair of like even just sculpting. I really wanted to make sure I was designing at least most of the time,
Right.
because to me it's just like I I don't like just technical exercises. I
Yeah.
want to create something. I want to make something, even if it's just adapting something a little bit. Like
Mm-hmm.
someone else's design, but you get to kind of interpret it your own way, which
Yeah.
is what Guillermo let me do when I worked on his stuff. It's, like when it was someone else's design, I was allowed to bring something else into it, and those are always the most fun things to do
Yeah.
outside of your own designs.
Yeah. Yeah. I always said, if Hollywood is full of Guillermo del Toros, I probably wouldn't have
Gosh.
left.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Seriously.
that's the thing.
But he's like one in a
uh,
million, you know?
yeah, he's like the perfect guy. He's like the perfect guy for monster people. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's like yeah, there's no more perfect person to direct a movie if you work on monsters.
Yeah. 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 He's definitely the best to work for. He just came out and said, did you see there was an article that came out a couple days ago or this weekend, maybe? Yeah, a couple days ago. I don't know, maybe Friday or something. But he said he's got maybe one or two more movies he wants to do, and then he's out and he's going to just do animation. He's going to only,
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
because he's like complaining about how ridiculously hard it is to get movies made and
Huh.
how shitty the whole business is. He said it's
I
like
didn't know that.
he said it's like eating a shit sandwich.
Yeah, I was listening to a bunch of podcasts with them recently, and I guess like there was like a 5 year gap between one of like Devil's Backbone or something, and then like another 4 year gap after that. I don't remember which movie, but there was like a long gap before and an equally long gap after one of his movies, and that's just like a
Yeah,
whole.
and he's like what, two-time Academy Award winner now, and
Yeah,
he was saying he still can't get stuff made. He said, I think he said his last these five
ridiculous.
projects he was trying to get, he couldn't get made. And it's like if you have two Academy Awards and you can't get shit made, then I totally get it. It's like fuck you guys. I'm gonna
Yeah,
work in a medium where I can do what I want, and I guess that's
I mean,
animation. Apparently,
I'm
he
glad it's
said.
a cool medium that he's going to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, that's the thing. Like, I'm so glad stop motion is still around.
I
It's like,
know, I
I mean,
know.
by all rights, it shouldn't be, right? Because it's like if the whole idea is like photoreal, just totally fools your eye. It's like those CG Planet of the Apes movies. It's like how can you be more real than that? It's
Right.
like, but people still love stop motion. It's just.
Yeah, well, it's yeah.
I'm, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, no. I was just gonna say it's like that with oil painting.
Yeah,
It's like oil painting is totally not. There's no point to it because they say that you know painting died when photography came around. It's like okay, whatever, maybe that's true, but it's still I'm still able to make a living making oil paintings. It's like this
yeah,
archaic thing. There's still people that do it.
yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting because I can definitely see the way AI is like destroyed the possibility of it's like 99% of stuff is like not so great, right? And AI can totally do a lot of that stuff.
Hmm.
And the problem is you kind of need this wider industry for those like little gems to be able to even exist.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I'm worried about. But yeah, definitely like when it comes to really great stuff, I don't think AI can do it. But um, yeah,
Well, maybe there may be a day where you'll be able to make a movie by describing it to AI.
oh, they're already talking about that.
Yeah, I've seen some samples. It's like it's kind of amazing. Like they're doing some stuff where there's some video going around, and I don't know if it's real, but I think it's real. Where they're like a guy's walking through a bunch of rooms, like with his camera, his
Mhm.
phone, and he's just walking, and he keeps changing to different characters, AI, and the background changes, and it's like it's not perfect, but it looks kind of pretty amazing, really. So
Okay.
it's bad on one hand.
I mean, it's fascinating, but it's
On,
also like terrifying. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, but on the other hand, you could, if in theory, you could make a movie just you
Yeah.
coming up with the
Right.
idea, and then it becomes all about the idea being really cool, you know?
Yeah. I get it, but it's just like, to me, like you were saying, it's like it's the process of doing these things that I
Yeah, I
find.
know. Well, that's why
It's like
that's
yeah,
why I can't get into the AI art that much,
yeah.
because it's like that takes out the fun part, and it's like,
Like,
people who do it, more power to you. Aside from the fact that everything was kind of ripped off and trained, it was trained on without
yeah,
artist
yeah,
permission, and I think that's bad. But taking that out of the equation, I wouldn't be satisfied just making
yeah,
art by typing words.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not my idea of fun.
It's like when I was a kid and there's some awesome toy I really wanted. When I finally got it, it just was like it wasn't didn't really please me the way if I had just made a much crappier thing by myself.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
It's just like this crappy thing, but it's my crappy thing. And
Yeah.
like however cool like this toy was, it's someone else made it, and I can't get any satisfaction out of that.
Yeah, it's almost AI is almost like having an artist and you're telling the artist what to draw.
Yeah,
And it's like I could see that would be practical if you were art directing someone and they're making something for you and you can't do everything, but as an artist, you
yeah,
want to make the thing.
yeah. You want to do it. It's
That's the
like
fun part. That's the whole reason. It's not for the final image, it's for the making of it, the process.
I never realized how true that is to me until like this recent Monsterpalooza where I just sold a bunch of stuff I had like just to make space in my house.
Uh-huh.
It's just like I was totally okay with just getting rid of it, because it's like I've done it. It's like
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was the
need to look
fun
at it
part.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. It's like it's the process. It's all about the process. And once I'm done, I want to do something else. It's not like I sit and stare at it. You know what I mean? It's
That'd be so weird.
I know there are artists who just have trouble parting with their work and like are really attached to it, but I've never
I
really
had trouble parting with
been that
this
way.
big dragon I made because I just spent so much time making it. I couldn't part with it at a reasonable, or not a reasonable, but like a price that somebody wouldn't like vomit, like if they heard. So
Yeah.
that was my issue with that. But I don't think I was like precious about it though. It's
Yeah.
but yeah, um, yeah, it's a weird time because I feel really optimistic. Like I'm really excited about my. I've never been more excited about making art and ideas, and I'm better at doing it than I've ever been before. But it's also like we're in this time where there's like AI art like breathing down your neck, and then there's like all this political shit that's like scary, and
Yeah, I
I
know.
just don't know what the fuck is going to happen. And it's just like I'm just it's like thankfully I'm busy, and I can't think too much about it.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's there's never been a better time to branch out on your own and be an artist. Just be an artist creating your own work, because everything else is so fucked up. Because
Yeah,
there's no jobs anymore where you know that that's not even an option,
yeah,
to have a job that's going to take care of you
yeah.
until you retire. That's out of the
Yeah,
that's
even all like the response, it's the so-called,
right.
straight laced jobs that people would take. They're like possibly on the chopping
Yeah,
blocks
yeah.
with technology and stuff.
So that's not even an option really anymore.
You may as well do what you want, because
Exactly.
you'll be equally unemployed.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like everything's fucked up for everybody, and there are no assurances. Everything's
Yeah,
chaotic.
absolutely.
So what else are you
Here's
gonna? This like the only thing that makes sense is to kind of do your own thing at this point.
it's just like my feeling is like life has no discernible meaning, so you may as well make it whatever you want, because it's
Yeah,
like
you make the
it
meaning.
just you live and you die, and you just may as well do something you want to do in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise,
um,
yeah. I mean, if yeah, you got to give your life meaning. You bring the meaning to your life. And
yeah,
that's if you're an artist, that's what gives your life meaning. Creating
yeah.
artwork.
Uh,
So I think it's great. I think your Patreon will be successful. I think it's great that you're
I
doing
hope so.
it.
Well, thank you. I hope so. I mean, again, I just want to say I really appreciate everyone who they might be listening to this. So I want to say thank you for
Yeah.
joining it. And I hope more people do.
Yes, you should join everybody out there that is on my Patreon. Dark Art Society Patreon. You should do it. You should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I support as many as I support way too many. Like I have to like cut some down.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Like no worries if you don't end up supporting mine because I just like I get it. I'm just like you know.
Yeah, no. But I
um.
just it's like I can't. I think it's to me it's like it comes out of my Patreon money,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like I'm
Absolutely.
making enough to where it's like 100. I don't know what it is. It ends up being like $160 maybe. I'm supporting a lot of Patreons. It's like okay, that's just comes out of I'm not making 10 grand, but I'm making enough to like pay my mortgage and a few bills, which is
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. No. That's
And
good.
put back
That's
into other people's
really neat.
Patreons. And
That's good.
I believe in the platform, so I want to support it too. And they're all artists that I believe in, and they're also my friends,
Yeah.
so it's like we're all kind of helping each other. Um, so yeah, I think it's the way, it's the future, really.
Well.
Oh, the other thing is all the stuff that I've only posted on my Patreon.
Mhm.
I looked it up in the AI. You can do the AI lookup.
I think I remember you posting something about this. It's
Yeah,
like it's a paywall, right? And it kind of protects you from
yeah. So
sourcing.
none of the stuff that was just on my Patreon is showing up in the AI models, which is pretty cool.
The problem for me is I still have to put stuff up on Facebook and stuff because otherwise people won't know about me. So it's like,
Yeah. I do too. I do too.
yeah,
It's part of it. But I show everything I'm working on Patreon, and I don't
yeah,
have to show everything. Usually, what I show on my social media now, because I'm trying to get people to the Patreon, is like I just show
yeah. That's what I'm doing too. I'm
standout
just showing,
finished standout pieces. But there's all kinds of other stuff that are like studies
yeah,
that I don't necessarily show outside of Patreon
yeah,
or
totally.
time lapses or whatever. So that's kind of an added bonus, though. It's just, even though it doesn't really matter, I don't think in the grand scheme of things, it's still kind of cool that you didn't train AI to take work away from you.
It'll find a way, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like people can just take your art and make models based on your art. Like I've seen one of mine and they sell the AI models that you can
Oh,
download, but they look like shit. The one for mine will look terrible. It looked terrible. The samples they had.
I gotta say, with AI art, like they seem to do certain styles very well, like the NCY kind of stuff, and the what's this, like John Singer Sargent type, like oil painting type
Hmm.
stuff, kind of photorealistic
Yeah, and
stuff. They do
yeah,
do real well. But like, imagine, I don't know, can it do like um a more graphic, like imagine like someone like I don't know, like Arthur Rackham or like Gerald Scarfe or someone like that. Like,
yeah. I'm not. I haven't seen any like that, but I mean, I've seen a lot of really amazing stuff. Um,
it's like shockingly, it's like I can't help but be impressed, but it is like
yeah.
very disturbing, you know.
Have you seen Dougie Pledger? Dougie,
Yeah, I've seen that
his
stuff.
stuff's
That,
unbelievable. And then
yeah, no,
Tim Malloy is doing amazing stuff too. See, it's I think it is exciting to me, just trying to take all the moral issues out of it and just look at it as a technology. It is exciting to me, the idea that you could use it as a tool, as a tool like Photoshop or
yeah.
anything any other tool that you'd use, and like you know
What's the end product, right?
it,
Like where you're kind of,
it would be handy for me to be like, oh, I need a cool flying bat for the background. And so instead
yeah,
of like trying to find a picture online that really isn't mine anyway, it's not, people steal pictures for
yeah.
paintings on the internet all the time. I could just go, okay, and kind of make it in Mid Journey or whatever, and then use it for one of my paintings or some reference of something or a background or a landscape that is not
It's
like
like,
that important to the painting, but I need it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, totally. it's like the thing is like in the perfect world, that's what we would be using it for,
Right.
you know. But we live in a world where like these bastards are just gonna like, oh, I don't have to pay them at all. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna have a computer. Like,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
pays an
Yeah.
artist at all? I mean, you know, I can just get an image for free, and no one cares. It's just something to grace the cover with, and you know, so
Yeah.
yeah, the way things work out, I feel like you just end up getting screwed. But um,
Yeah. The problem is scummy business people.
they ruin everything.
Yes. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um, I gotta ask. I mean, I know we're going kind of long, but I just want to ask one question. You know how like everything feels like it's like you were saying before, like nothing's guaranteed anymore, and or you feel like when I was growing up, I felt like okay, well, when I grow up, I mean, if I do well, I'll be like my parents and at least have a house,
Yeah.
and you
Right.
know, we'll have a certain degree of like safety and you
Security.
know security. Yeah, exactly. Like guaranteed more or less. Just play your cards right to be all right.
Right.
And now it's like okay, AI is taking over a lot of people's jobs. The future's uncertain. There's also like we're sliding into
Fascism.
yeah fascism. Yeah, and it's all there's no guarantee that like the things we took for granted are was that always is this new like is this
I think, yeah, I think it's new, but it's like, because when I was a kid, and this is like the early 70s, we had health insurance, we had dental insurance. We all went and
Mhm.
got our regular dental checkups because my dad had insurance. He worked on a tugboat. It's like he had a house, he was able to buy a house and support a family. And it's just like, it's in my lifetime, it's just slowly gotten worse and worse. Uh, but so yeah, I think it is. I think it's just the end result of the way it's kind of been going. Not to say, have you heard that whole fourth turning thing? Have you heard about the fourth turning?
No, I don't know what that
I'll
is.
send you a link because it's like these guys did this. I'll send you a link because it kind of makes you feel a little better. Because basically, according to this theory, we've got about another 7 years of chaos, and then everything is gonna flip. And it's not it's not like crazy woo woo stuff. It's like these guys studied history, and
Okay.
they found that there were like 80 to 90 year cycles that were divided up in roughly four
Yeah.
parts. First part was like a new beginning, everything's kind of cool. Then the second part, things start to
Yeah.
change. Third part, blah blah. Fourth part is chaos, and everything's kind of disintegrating right before it flips again and starts over this cycle where things are.
I just worry that the stable phase is just going to be some authoritarian state. So, you know, like that's
Yeah.
well, nothing's happening because everything sucks. You know.
Right. Well,
Um,
I'll send you this video because there's a really good explanation. It kind of makes it feel like it's sort of like it's going to get worse, and then it's going to get so bad that it kind of has to follow this cycle again, and which is like a lot of old things are going to get destroyed,
yeah.
and it's going to start new, and there's going to be a new kind of beginning, which is a good positive thing. But I don't know.
Well,
I'm glad I live in California. That's all I have to say, man. If I was in
yeah,
like
yeah, me too. Except now we have forest fires and earthquakes and stuff,
that's true. That's true.
and we'll be the first to feel climate change
That's
effects.
true. But we had like a really wet summer, which is, or
We did. No, it was a very nice winter we had,
yeah,
and
yeah.
even now it's not that bad right now. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I know. That's they're saying. I heard something on the radio saying that like because we had such a wet winter that the fire season is already late. It could have started in it was supposed they were saying it could have started in March, and they're saying
okay.
it's probably not going to start until um August. So it's like
I
it's
really enjoyed these last few months. I love the rainy
I know
weather.
it's great. It's been great. So there, I mean, and that's like kind of an upside to chaos is sure everything is super chaotic and crazy, but it does, but that also can work for you sometimes.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
no.
mean? Like, for
I get
example,
it.
we had like a really great rainy winter, and it's like that's why I don't see things as necessarily getting worse. Is I see it as like they're just going to keep getting weirder and crazier, and more chaotic, but not necessarily like specifically. Although I think bad things, you see, there's like crazy
Yeah.
shits going on. Um, but that's why it's like it's so chaotic that I don't feel like anybody can win. Like like
No, that's
the crazy hardcore like
yeah.
fascist people. It's like
Yeah,
it's
they're not
too
going to come out on top either.
yeah, it's too chaotic to control. It's like
That's
no one
no,
can
that I never
control it.
thought of that. It's like, yeah, no, everyone kind of loses a little bit. It's just like,
Right. There's no
which
there's
means everyone kind of wins a little bit.
yeah. It's like it's so chaotic that nobody can control it. So it's hopeful in that way, that like even if like even if things became like imagine okay things get super authoritarian and fascistic, it's like good luck trying to control everything. There's just like
Yeah.
I don't it's like and
Yeah,
also
I
the
think
other
we're all way too spoiled with freedom and democracy. So,
right.
fuck you, it's like,
And the other thing is the other thing that gives me some sort of comfort is that everything's moving faster and faster, and so
yeah,
periods of turmoil I think will also be short. It seems like everything's speeding up, and the time periods when things happen, like for example, like the period of civil unrest during the Civil War seems like probably it lasted a lot longer back in the day when everything was slower
yeah,
and there wasn't mass communication, and now everything happens so fast that even the turmoil that happens is happening in shorter periods. It seems like maybe
yeah.
I don't know. That's what I
Uh,
tell myself anyway.
well, that's a glass half full, but the glass half empty is we'll just get into the next period of chaos,
Right,
like,
right, true.
and then we won't even know we're out of it because it'll just keep.
But
Yeah,
I'll say the one I'll well we can close with this. I will say the best way to deal with it I think is the Zen kind of Zen uh way, which is like I remember hearing Alan Watts talking about martial arts. Alan Watts, like I don't know if you heard his stuff, but he's like a Zen philosopher from the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Um,
mhm.
his talks are all amazing. They're amazing, amazing. And he was talking about I forget some martial art like judo or some martial art, and he was saying like the way that you do this martial art is the way that you should live your life, which is you don't anticipate anything coming from any direction, so you're fully grounded in the center and you're not anticipating something coming at you from like the front or the back or the side or the right.
Yeah,
You're not expecting it to come from one place specifically, so therefore you're like centered and grounded and able to adapt when it comes to you from any angle because you're not anticipating where things are coming from. And that's kind of the way you should live your life, is like not anticipating anything specific and
yeah.
flowing with it. Whatever it comes up, you just kind of surf it,
Yep, I think that's right.
and it's like all you can do anyway. It's like you could fight against it, but you're not going to win that fight. It's like you can't
Yeah, no, that's
fight this
true.
huge thing, so you might as well try and like surf it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
Go
know?
go with it rather than against it. Yeah.
Or at
I
least yeah, just like kind of adapt in a way that makes sense to you. Adapt. And
the
that's
trick is finding a way that makes sense for you.
yeah.
Like again, sorry, but with AIR, it's like I got to find some way to live with it.
Yeah, yeah, cuz it's
It's just
here.
like
Yeah, you can't stop
it's
it
not going
really.
away. It's like it's just going to be like CG hair. It's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, right. Now you can like comb it and make hairstyles with it. I remember when it was like boink. Yeah. So, well, that was a great conversation. That was
Ah,
thanks again for coming
thank
on.
you.
And then tell people your address again. It was
Okay. So
Patreon.
let me give you my Instagram and Facebook and all that.
Yeah,
So my
I'll put that on I'll put it in the body of the text as well.
oh sure, great.
But tell me.
So the Instagram is at David Meng Artworks. That's with an S.
Okay.
My Facebook, I think the address is david.meng.121. And the Patreon is patreon.com/Meng Monsters.
Meng
And
Monsters, MENG.
yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, everybody go and join David's Patreon. Here's the thing about Patreons too. Aside from the fact that you can do 1 week for free now to check it out, you can also join for a month or two and then leave it if you can't afford it, and then come back
Yeah,
when you can afford it.
absolutely.
That's what's cool about Patreon is you don't have to be like, stuck. You can jump around on different ones, or
Yeah.
you can. It's easy to just
No,
to
totally.
pause
It's like
it and to start it again.
yeah, it's like weird times, so I totally get it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like we all get it.
yep,
So
totally. Yeah, we're artists. We get it better than anybody, really, because we're always having to struggle with.
we're pure chaos. So we
Yes.
get
All right. Well, don't hang up.
okay.
Stay on the line, and then just say goodbye to everybody. We'll say goodbye to the audience.
Bye everyone. Thanks for listening. It's great talking to you, Chet.
See you, everybody.